Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi promises to restructure the nation's security architecture. The Edo State government has confirmed the arrest of 2 village chiefs in connection with the January 7 train attack. On the foreign scene, Jacinda Ardern has announced she will quit as New Zealand Prime Minister ahead of this year's election. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Damilola Raphael. We begin with politics. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has promised to restructure the security architecture in order to tackle insecurity in the country if elected president in the February 25 election. He made the pledge yesterday in Kaduna State during his party's presidential campaign in the state. He noted that the state hosts the best and biggest military formation, which is supposed to make the state to be the most secure place in Nigeria. But today, people can't sleep in the state with their eyes closed. He stated that the country has insecurity today, not because the bandits are more formidable than the government, but because there is no leadership. The presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has belittled the Labour Party, alluding to it as a sectarian-based party. Kwankwaso said this during his appearance at the London-based Chatham House, where he spoke on the topic Nigeria's 2023 elections, service delivery and policy alternatives. Responding to a question about possibly stepping down for Peter Obi of LP, the former Kano State governor berated his opponent's party, stating that the party is based on ethnicity and religion. He further stated that his party, the NNPP, is the only grown party in Nigeria today.
Labour, you see, that's the problem we have. The gentleman who stood up there, I'm sure he comes from a particular group or a region without even asking him, just because you saw, if you have a party which is based on ethnicity and religion, that's the difference between Labour Party and, of course, our party, which is a national party, New Nigeria People's Party. Now, we want, please, you see, while we are accusing leaders of being one thing.
The Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has said he has been waiting patiently for those who threatened to expel him from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to carry out their threat. Governor Wike noted that those issuing such threats are not oblivious that the party is already polarized, and taking such actions against him and his allies in the G5 will lead to the extinction of the party. The governor revealed this at Rumuji Odegoe town, while the Rivers State chapter of the PDP held a rally to flag off its campaign in the Mohua local government area yesterday. The Rivers State governor informed that the state has quota takes to withstand those he described as buccaneers and vampires already in the stocking trade of selling their conscience for a pot of pottage. Moving on, the Edo State government has confirmed the arrest of 2 village chiefs in connection with the January 7 train attack, which resulted in the kidnap of 20 passengers at the Igwebe train station. The State Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Chris Neikare, disclosed this shortly after the State Executive Council meeting in Benin, the state capital, yesterday. He revealed that 7 other suspects had also been arrested in connection with the incident, adding that 2 remaining passengers in captivity had also been rescued by security agents. But the executive director, ASA Youth for Good Governance and Social Justice, Benson Odia, told newsmen that the chiefs were innocent, stating that their arrest had a political undertone. Mr. Odia disclosed that banditry was not only taking place in Iwembe Forest and Udo Forest, but due to the fact that there was a train attack, the governor is now trying to use some traditional rulers as scapegoats. The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Yakubu Maikiao, has deplored the working conditions of officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force. Maikiao made this known when he paid a courtesy visit to the Inspector General of Police, Baba Usman, at the force headquarters, Louis Edet House, Abuja. The NBA president said without the deliberate and appropriate investment in improving the welfare of officers and men of the force, it will be hypocritical, if not fraudulent, to expect any meaningful results from the police. Maikiao also expressed the readiness of the NBA to partner with the force to advocate for and pursue better working conditions for members of the force. Minister of Police Affairs Mohammed Dingyadi has revealed that the Inspector General of Police Usman Baba will not be retiring when he turns 60 years on March 1st, 2023. Dingyadi's comments followed fresh concerns about the IGP's possible retirement amidst the 2023 elections. Baba turned 60 on March 1st, 4 days after the presidential election and 10 days before the governorship elections holding on February 25th and March 11th, respectively. According to the minister, the Police Act 2020 gives the IGP a 4-year tenure which cannot be interrupted by retirement age. Dingyadi also stated that President Buhari has already given Usman Baba a letter of appointment in that regard. The trial of the bank robbery case resumed yesterday at the Kwara State High Court in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. During the court proceedings, one of the principal suspects, Ayoade Akini-Bosu, told the court that the former head of the Intelligence Response Team Squad, Abba Kyari, offered him 10 million naira to implicate ex-Senate President Bukola Saraki in the case. Akini-Bosu said that Kyari promised to give him a visa to any country of his choice if he took the option to implicate Saraki, but he turned down the offer. 5 suspects, Ayoade Akini-Bosu, Ibikunle Ogunleye, Adiola Abraham, and 2 others were also charged to court by the police for criminal conspiracy to rob the banks, murder of 9 policemen and other citizens, and illegal possession of firearms. However, the presiding judge, Justice Alimat Salman, adjourned the case till February 13, 2023. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has offered automatic employment to families of 7 of its personnel that were killed by bandits in Kaduna State. The 7 NSCDC personnel were killed during an ambush by bandits at a mining site at Kuriga village in Beningwari local government area of the state on January 10, 2023. The bandits also killed scores of other security agents during the attack. However, speaking when he met with the spouses and relatives of the slain personnel in Kaduna, the Commandant General of NSCDC, Ahmed Aoudi, described their deaths as a colossal loss to the Corps, their families, and the country in general. The NSC DC bus also presented checks to the families of the victims, as well as announced the immediate employment of spouses or relatives of the 7 victims into the corps as a mark of compensation for the families. The chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Mohammed Buba Mawa, has warned that unrepentant drug barons and cartels will face tougher times in 2023. Mr. Mawa gave the warning yesterday at a press briefing at the NDLEA National Headquarters, Abuja, on the 2nd anniversary of his leadership of the anti-narcotics body. He revealed that he issued a New Year appeal to them and also warned that those who refuse to heed the warning will find themselves in a difficult situation. He stated that with the agency's prosecution being top-notch, drug barons can look forward to a long time in prison and final forfeiture of their wealth and assets. Mr. Mawa noted that the agency already have 34 barons in its net, and they are currently facing the music in the court. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We will be right back after this break.
According to the words of Michael Forbes, one who never asks questions either knows everything and nothing. Watch me as I ask the questions you think no one wants to answer. Even questions it appears no one has got the guts to ask. My name is Femi Adifula and I've got the gut. Let's ask the pertinent questions and watch as we get answers.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around here. Yup, we've got you covered because your girl got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be showing on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
You're welcome back. The Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has said he has been waiting patiently for those who threatened to expel him from the People's Democratic Party to carry out this threat. Governor Wike noted that those issuing such threats are not oblivious that the party is already polarized, and taking such action against him and his allies in the G5 will lead to the extinction of the party. The governor revealed this as Ruboje Odegwe town, while the Rivers State chapter of the PDP held a rally to flag off its campaign in Emohua local government area yesterday. The Rivers State governor informed that the state has what it takes to withstand those he described as buccaneers and vampires already in the stocking trade or selling their conscience for a pot of pottage.
So, if you're from Emohua local government, challenge any of them. When they come, what are you promising us? You promised before, did you do it? No. Anybody who comes with promise, give him a promise. Not be so. That's so. Anybody who gives you project, you give him a vote. Not be so. That's so. So. There was the successor has been part of us. He knows where we started, he knows where we're ending. And he has told you he will continue from where we have ended. Don't go and say, let me test run. What are you test running? Not, Did you to test run anything again? No way. So, Chief Abusha has said, we are tired of waiting. Indeed, we are tired of waiting. But don't worry. You have been patient. Your being patient will not be taken for granted. Do you understand me? Yes, so the bell will still ring. The bell will still ring. And when you hear the bell, listen to where the bell is coming from. And go and do what you have been told to do.
The Federal Executive Council has approved 2.29 billion naira for the assembling of Hungarian Magnus light aircraft at the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, Zaria, Kaduna State. Nigeria's Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, disclosed this to journalists shortly after this week's council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the State House, Abuja, yesterday. According to Sirika, renewed demand for the spin recovery aircraft is necessitating the production of the light aircraft, which he said is durable for the training of military and civilian pilots. He noticed that the first set of the assembled aircraft is expected to fly within the last 4 months of the Buhari regime. In business, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says Nigeria plans to bring down its debt service to revenue ratio at 60% this year. Mrs. Ahmed spoke during an interview with Bloomberg Television on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos. In 2022, Nigeria's debt to service revenue ratio was at 80.6%, a figure far above World Bank's suggested 22.5% for low-income countries like Nigeria. The International Monetary Fund has said Nigeria may spend almost 100% of its revenue on debt servicing by 2026. Speaking on the issue, Mrs. Ahmed said Nigeria's plans to cut its revenue spending on debt servicing to 60% in 2023, adding that the current ratio is not sustainable. However, the minister says the country's debt trajectory is sustainable. Meanwhile, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has filed his appeal against the ruling of a federal high court in Abuja, which compelled him to appear in a $53 million judgment debt suit. Justice Inyang Ekwo of the High Court had, in his ruling last year, summoned the CBN governor over his alleged refusal to obey the order of the court for the payment of the judgment debt in favor of a legal practitioner, Joe Agi, SAN. Although the court had ordered Emefiele to appear before the court on January 18, proceedings could not go on as scheduled when the matter was called, prompting the court to subsequently adjourn the case till March 20. However, Emefiele, in his notice of appeal, predicated on 3 grounds submitted that Justice Ekwo erred in law and occasioned a miscarriage of justice when he made an order compelling his attendance in court for the $53 million debt. On the foreign scene, Jacinda Ardern has announced she will quit as New Zealand Prime Minister ahead of this year's election, saying she no longer has enough in the tank to lead. Ms. Ardern choked up as she detailed how 6 challenging years in the job had taken a toll. Labour Party lawmakers will vote to find her replacement on Sunday. The shock announcement comes as polling indicates the party faces a difficult path to re-election on the 14th of October. Ms. Ardern, who was stepped down by the 7th of February, became the youngest female head of government in the world when she was elected Prime Minister in 2017, aged 37. And a year later, she became the second elected world leader to ever give birth while in office after Pakistan's Benazir Bhutto in 1990.
For my part, I want to finish with a simple thank you to New Zealanders for giving me this opportunity to serve and to take on what has and will always be the greatest role of my life. I hope in return, I leave behind a belief that you can be kind but strong, empathetic but decisive, optimistic but focused, that you can be your own kind of leader.
In South America, at least 3 more people are reported to have died amidst protests against Peru's President Dina Boluarte. Dozens of lives have been lost during weeks of demonstrations after former leader Pedro Castillo was ousted. Police used tear gas to disperse crowds in the capital Lima, where thousands of protesters from rural areas have spent days converging. A woman died in the southern town of Macusani, while a police station is reported to have been set on fire. Separately, Peru's human rights watchdog reported 2 further deaths as a result of blockades in the northern LA Libertad region. Turning to Europe, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said there are no accidents at wartime after 14 people died in a helicopter crash in the capital, Kyiv. Ukraine has not claimed Russian involvement, but Mr. Zelensky told the World Economic Forum in Davos that the tragedy was a consequence of the war. Interior Minister Denis Monastersky died alongside several colleagues. Mr. Zelensky also used his video address to urge allies to quickly send more weapons before new Russian offensives. While speaking at Davos, head of the NATO military alliance said Ukraine could expect to receive more support, more advanced support, heavier weapons, and more modern weapons. Jens Stoltenberg said NATO's member states would meet tomorrow to discuss what military equipment could be sent to Kyiv.
Tragedies are outpacing life. The tyranny is outpacing the democracy. Russia needed less than 1 second to start the war. The world needed days to react with first sanctions. The time the free world uses to think is used by the terrorist state to kill. Ukraine and its allies have been resisting it for almost a year. This period proved all our prompt actions brought positive results.
NATO's position remains unchanged, and that is that Ukraine will become a member of NATO. Then, of course, the main focus now is to support Ukraine, to ensure that Ukraine wins the war and prevails as a sovereign, independent, democratic nation in Europe. And that's the reason why NATO allies partners are providing unprecedented military support to Ukraine, and why I'm traveling around to NATO capitals and calling on them to do even more, and why I welcome the recent announcement of more armor, more advanced air defense systems, most recently by Canada with 200 armored vehicles, and also Poland delivering more weapons, and of course the US leading all these efforts in this what we call the contact group or the support group for Ukraine.
Talking sports, protests have intensified in India after a top Indian athlete accused the chief of Wrestling Federation of India and other coaches of sexually harassing women wrestlers for years. Vinesh Phogat has alleged that at least 10 women wrestlers confessed to her that they were sexually exploited by WFI President Brij Bhushan Singh. She made the allegations during a protest held against WFI in capital Delhi, though Mr. Singh has denied the allegations. But Phogat and other women athletes said they would not compete in international tournaments unless Mr. Singh was removed from the post. Yesterday, India's sports ministry sought a response to the allegations from WFI within 3 days.
से निकल के आई हैं और यहाँ पे जितनी भी लड़कियां आई हैं बहुत सारी लड़कियों के साथ कुछ हुआ है, बहुत कुछ हुआ है जो हम कल से बोलते आ ही गए हैं। तो लड़कियों ने जो हौसला दिखाया, मैं चाहती हूँ कि और भी जो बाकी लड़कियां वो हौसला दिखाए। डरने की किसी से जरूरत नहीं है। हम अपनी मेहनत से आए हैं, अपने परिवार की मेहनत से आए हैं।
To tennis, Spain's Rafael Nadal is expected to be sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks with a hip injury that hampered him during his exit from the Australian Open. The 22-time Grand Slam champion struggled to move in a 6-4, 6-4, 7-5 defeat by American Mackenzie McDonald in the second round yesterday. Following an MRI scan on his left hip in Melbourne, the world number 2 will now return to Spain to begin physiotherapy treatment. In a tweet today, 36-year-old Nadal said he was mentally destroyed after his title defense in Melbourne came to an end. The timeframe means Nadal could be fit to play the first Masters tournament of the 2023 season at Indian Wells in March. In the meantime, Casper Ruud was stunned by hard-hitting American Jenson Brooksby to leave the Australian Open draw without its top 2 men's seed after 2 rounds. The Norwegian second seed, last year's French and US Open runner-up, was chasing the first Grand Slam title and the chance to become world's number 1. But the 24-year-old was outplayed by the world number 39 in a 6-3, 7-5, 6-7, 6-2 defeat in the second round.
What a shot!
Casper is incredulous. He cannot believe that.
I think even Carlos Bernardes was having a little bit of a smile there. How did that go over and land on the line? A moment of absolute magic from Brooksby.
And before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has promised to restructure the security architecture in order to tackle insecurity in the country if elected president in the February 25 election. The Edo government has confirmed the arrest of 2 village chiefs in connection with the January 7 train attack, which resulted in the kidnap of 20 passengers at the Iwebe train station. On the foreign scene, Jacinda Ardern has announced she will quit as New Zealand Prime Minister ahead of this year's election, saying she no longer has enough in the tank to lead. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. And that ends Spring News at 12. I am Damilola Raphael. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.